I have 7 points for you if you play tournaments or if you're a parent or if you're a coach. This is my way of wrapping up our series on the US Masters. And before I get to it, let me put you in a scenario. Let's say you're going into a round. It's going to be 90 minutes per player plus the 30-second increment, but you haven't had any breakfast. And the only place where you can get food, there's a line, 20, 30 minutes to get your food. Would you wait and get to the round 20, 30 minutes late? Or would you go to the round early, but you play the whole 3-4 hours without any food in your stomach? Well, I'll tell you what I did later, but let's start from point number one. And point number one has to do with coaches and even parents, if possible, playing tournaments. Many years ago, I had a student, his mom, she made a big deal about that. She wanted her son's coach to be active playing tournaments. And back then I was playing tournaments and it was not a big deal. I didn't think about it that much. But I realize now, to me, going back to the US Masters or to a tournament after years, it was probably like for her, she was a doctor, she would go to these seminars, sort of like to keep herself up with new technologies and up to date, right? And that's what I felt in this tournament. We lose perspective. I hadn't played in years, and here I am coaching players and giving them advice based on what I remembered from years ago. And the truth is that chess is changing a lot and fast, I guess like anything else because of technology, but especially competitive chess is changing. And it doesn't hurt to put ourselves in a tournament room, experience it again, see who you're playing against, see who your students are going to be playing against, and make sure that we don't lose perspective. Make sure that we renew our if you will, our license to coach other people, right? So that's one thing I wanted to say, and I'll tell you more how chess is changing as we go through the other points. The second point, actually, I have them here just in case I forget, but the second point is how modern players are playing more and more like computers. And actually, this is something I heard. Lenier Dominguez, very strong grandmaster, has a podcast in Spanish, and he was saying this. Also, Lázaro Bruzón, another strong Cuban grandmaster, he was saying this in an article. We are going from saying, hey, you know what, this move that the computer recommended is such a computer move, I don't understand it, to seeing players go, oh, I played this move because this is the way computers play. This is the kind of move that they make, and this is the why. After reviewing and playing with the computer hundreds and thousands of games, you start to think like them and to understand what's going on. So that's something to keep in mind. We're relying more on concrete lines than on these concepts. And Lanier, in his podcast episode, he tells a story that he was helping Fabiano Caruana to prepare for the World Championship, and he shows him a game that he had in his bag, one of the first books that he worked with when he was learning. And Caruana opened it and he goes, okay, interesting, but it doesn't have many lines. And it's like modern new players, they need concrete lines to justify, to prove the points. Otherwise, it is just not good. So we gotta rely more on that. We gotta use new technology. Everyone says we gotta keep a balance between new technology, modern training, and old school, like books and so on. But definitely we gotta get used to concrete lines, calculating concrete lines. And that takes me to my next point, which is pre-round preparation. Pre-round preparation, every single round, we'll get the preparing like 1 hour earlier. So everyone was preparing. And I was talking to another grandmaster coming back home in our flight, and he was like, it was so difficult. These kids that I'm playing against, they have more games played than I have games played in my entire life. And since 1999, I was already just competing through Spain, tournaments back to back. But back then, preparation was not a big deal. You didn't have access to a database in seconds, or a player's chess.com account or Lead Chess account where you see exactly what they play. He says how back then, talent was really important, or more important, to make progress. Now it's more about hard work and who uses the resources that we have available in a better way, right? So something to keep in mind. I remember a preparation that I did some years ago, even though I don't like to do it, but I'm playing this strong master and he was expecting me to play the King's Indian defense, so he prepared that. But then I wanted to play the Grunfeld to surprise him, and I just went to his chess.com account and I sorted his games by opening to see what he played against the Grunfeld. And every single game against the Grunfeld, he played the same way. So I prepared my line for most of the game, easy, effortless game with that preparation. So that's the way it's going. It's not like people have every single line memorized. They see who they're playing against. Oh, they played the Najdorf. Let me see specifically what line. And before the round, let me prepare it. Let me brush up on it. So something to keep in mind. Now, another thing regarding openings, another point, I liked, in every game that I was playing in the tournament, I like to stand up and go to the top boards to see what they're playing. And what I saw most of the time was low theory opening systems. People playing knight f3 ready. And from there, you could see b3, g3, maybe knight f3, c4. Even people next to me, I'll look at them and that's what they're playing. It leads to solid, quiet positions, but low theory, and then they squeeze you. They play longer games, but it's just what's going on. There was only one game that stood out to me. I think it was Jeffrey Zion. I think that's how you pronounce it. I was looking at the boards, top boards, and everyone is playing quiet position. His board was on fire. A lot of pieces being on each other's plays and being attacked. I think that was round 1 or 2 or something like that. So something else to consider, to keep in mind. And then that brings me to another point, which is endurance. I saw more and more and more games being decided on endurance. Who can continue to play good chess after move number 60, 70 at that level without blundering, with a few seconds on the clock and still not running out of time. So that's important. And for that, I like myself, and I tell my students, when you're training, let's say you're set to train for 45 minutes. Well, a lot of us, by the time we get to the 40-minute mark, we're like, oh, I cannot wait to finish. Or I'm getting tired. Well, whenever you are getting tired or you're about to finish, surprise yourself and be like, you know what? Even though I'm tired, let me go for another 15, 20 minutes. Let me do another difficult exercise. Let me calculate. And you build that endurance during training so that when you're playing the tournaments, you're more used to it. Just something to keep in mind, okay? The other point is very, very important, and this is something that you might be like, yeah, could be okay, but I don't think it's that big a deal. And the next point has to do with training games. As you saw in the tournament, as I did the recap of my games, I lost the first 2 rounds to very strong international masters, right? But then I went on to win the next 2 games. And my theory is that I simply adjusted. After my first 2 games, I was like, okay, wait. This is what this level of chess expects of me. I need to calculate more. I need to take this more seriously. I need to be more concrete. And finally, on the next games, I make sure that I was playing like that. I was more aware of it. And this reminds me of a student of mine, Glenn. Before we started working together, he would tell me, oh, in my tournaments, always my first round or my second round is a warm-up. I lose because I need to warm up to then get to it. But guess what? Just like myself, we're losing 2 points of the tournament. And what we started to do was, before every tournament, our session will be about us playing a training game. Same time control, same everything, and we'll play it. And then he started to do better, and he'll be like, yeah, that's because since you beat me, I got frustrated and I took it out on my first opponent. But in reality, I think what happened was me playing him the best I could, beating him, would make him realize, hey, it's time to adjust. So he adjusted from playing online casually, maybe blitz, maybe 10-minute games, to, okay, in this tournament, you gotta play the way I played against you by calculating more, making better decisions. So when he got to the tournament, he was already adjusted. So training games, very, very important. I could have done it. I have friends of mine. I could have used the computer to adjust before getting to the tournament, but I didn't do it. So I hope you don't make the same mistake. And my final point, I hope I'm not missing anything, has to do with the first scenario that I presented, which has to do with discipline when it comes to sleeping, nutrition, and that happened to me. I got to the place. I asked around, no vending machine, no nothing. I'm in a hotel, and I see that the lady putting the orders. Of course, she's in no hurry, understandable. And I calculate, 20, 30 minutes, what do? I remembered people talking about fasting. I'm like, hey, not a bad day to try it, but it was a disaster. Bottom line, get to your rounds early, make sure that you have a good breakfast, make sure that you sleep, because, hey, anything that you could do to do better, just do it. Just do it. So don't take those advices lightly because you're young or because you've done it before. People are coming here to compete and to do their best, and you should do the same. So let me know in the comments if you have any other tips. In the end, it's all about us helping each other succeed. So any tips that you think could be useful, bring them on, or any comments on the tips that I shared, the same thing. So like always, thank you for all the help, and soon I will be recording the first video of another series that I think we're all gonna enjoy. It's a topic that we're gonna get to use right away, and I want to make it a series because it's not enough to learn it. We gotta reinforce it until it becomes second nature. So with that said, talk to you in the comments and see you soon.